One of the Psalms that have warmed and encouraged many hearts is Psalm 46. This is a psalm that I have done a detailed grammar on, looking at each word grammatically. What I'd like to do in this particular video is to read this great psalm in Hebrew, verse by verse, followed by the translation in English, and then a brief commentary. It's a beautiful, beautiful psalm, and it speaks to the heart of all of us, really, to know that we have a great refuge in the Lord, a great tower that we can go into in time of trouble. The context of this psalm, or the background, some believe that it referred to the invasion of Sennacherib, talked about, for example, in Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah 36 to 39. And the Lord, the angel of the Lord, then defeated the Assyrians as they were coming into Jerusalem. Some feel that that was the occasion. Ibn Ezra is an example of a medieval Jewish commentator that felt that. Others believe we don't know the exact context, but it was a time of trouble, possibly for the nation at that time of Israel, but can be applied individually to all of us today. And we'll talk about the way Martin Luther applied this in his great hymn, A Mighty Fortress is Our God. But I want to read it in Hebrew. It's so beautiful and so powerful. Lamnatseach livnei korach al alamot shir. That is for the leader, the sons of Korah, of the sons of Korah, upon the alamot. Now, we're not exactly sure what the alamot is. Some possibly suggest it could refer to music that would have like a high kind of pitch. We're not 100% sure, but it is relating to a song, a musical type of melody. And so we begin in verse 2, and we're going to see from verse 2 through verse 4 the unshakableness of the Lord. And then it will be followed by how the Lord brings peace and wholeness and the feeling of comfort in the rest of the psalm. So we begin, Elohim lanu, machaseh va'oz. Ezra, betzarot nimsa me'od. God is our refuge and our strength. A help in trouble, literally, he is to be found exceedingly. In other words, an exceeding help in time of trouble. Verse 3, Al kain lo nira behamir aretz, uvemot harim belev yamim. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth change, and though the mountains be cast or be moved into the heart of the seas. We're looking at everything, can I say, being moved into the heart of the sea, probably looking at a mighty type of earthquake or convulsion of nature. And really, what the text is saying, whatever may happen, and somehow we can apply this to life in general, I believe. It's a beautiful psalm of encouragement. And then it goes on in verse 4. Yehamu, Yemaru Memav, Yerashu Harim Bega'avato Selah. That is, though the waters roar and foam, though the mountains be shaken with its swelling, Selah. In other words, whatever happens is the thought here. And we're looking probably at, again, the idea of an earthquake, the idea of waters roaring and foaming in like a storm. And it's in that setting that the psalmist contrasts that stormy picture to a river. And notice verses 5 and following. Now we're going to see the Lord's presence with his people, with us. Thank the Lord in time of struggle. It says, Nahar Pelagav Yesamachu Ir Elohim Kadosh Mishkane Elyon. That is, there is a river. Its streams make glad the city of God. The holy place, literally the dwellings of Elyon, the dwelling places of God Most High. We could translate this holiness of the dwelling places of Most High, God Most High. We're looking at the city of the Lord, where his presence dwelt, and how that he makes like a river that gives comfort and makes glad that city of God with its well-watered presence and calm presence as it flows through the city. And that's the imagery, looking at the Lord bringing peace in the time of commotion. And then he goes on, Elohim b'kirba ba'al temot, Yazarecha Elohim lifnot boker. That is, God is in her midst. She shall not be moved. That's the city of God. No doubt speaking of Zion here. And we can apply that to the church as well in the New Testament. God's presence. And notice it says, God will help her, literally at the turning of the morning. Livnot boker. In other words, when the morning comes, there will be a peace. What a beautiful picture that the text is making here. The night of struggle is gone, and there will be peace in the morning when the sun arises. And those who apply this to Sennacherib and what happened, go back to Isaiah chapter 37, verse 36. When the men arose early in the morning, they saw that the Lord had defeated the Assyrians and so forth. But I think we can apply it in a general sense, that the night of struggle will pass, and in the morning, God will be there as the help of believers. Notice as we go on in verse 7, then, Hamu goyim matu mamlachot natan bikolo tamug aretz. That is, the nations were in tumult. Kingdoms were moved. He gave his voice. He literally gave forth with his voice, and the earth melted. We almost might think of God thundering, but his voice melts the earth. When God speaks, everything is brought under his dominion. And then it goes on. The Lord of hosts, verse 8, Adonai Tsevaot Imanu, Miskav Lanu Elohei Yaakov Selah. The Lord of hosts is with us. A high tower for us is the God of Jacob. What a beautiful picture. And I'm thinking of Emmanuel. The Lord is with us. And again, he's like a high tower that we can go inside that tower and feel protected. It is interesting in the New Testament that Jesus is called Emmanuel, and that we're told that nothing, if we have our faith in him, can ever separate us from the love of God, which is in Jesus Christ. Neither death, nor life, nor things to come, anything. He talks about no things, presently or things in the future. And there's so much anxiety today, but it's wonderful to know that we have a high tower, and that is Emmanuel. And as a Christian, my mind goes to that New Testament teaching about how Jesus said, I'll be with you always, even to the end of the age. And then as we move on, verse 9, Lehu chazu mif'alot Adonai, asher sam shamot ba'aretz. That is, come and see the works of the Lord, which he has made desolations on the earth, or in the earth. And some want to understand this to mean his astonishing deeds, like what happened when the Assyrians were defeated by the Lord. But I think it can be applied in a broad sense. In other words, those that would destroy God's righteous people, the Lord will judge. And we see the works of the Lord, and desolations are made in the earth, showing how the Lord does come and bring deliverance in time of need. And he causes wars to cease. I love verse 10 and verse 11. Notice it reads, Mashbit milchamot ad ketzei ha'aretz, keshet yeshaber v'kitzetz chanit, agalot yisrof ba'esh. That is, he causes wars to come to an end, to cease, unto the end of the earth. What a beautiful picture of peace. And he breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two, and wagons, probably looking at the kind of chariot wagons used in time of conflict. We could say the chariots, he burns with fire. And so he eliminates all these weapons of war. And someday, in that final kingdom of Christ, there'll be no more violence, no more death, no more wars, nothing. There will be a time of perfect peace that Jesus will bring. And we see that in the book of Revelation, especially chapters 21 and 22 in the New Jerusalem. And so we finish this great psalm, Charfu, Ude'u ki anochi Elohim, Arum bagoyim, Arum ba'aretz. That is, be still, desist, and know that I am God. And I will be exalted among the nations. I will be lifted up, exalted on the earth. Someday, we're looking forward to that great messianic fulfillment when Jesus Christ will be King of Kings and Lord of Lords, exalted upon the earth. Revelation chapter 19 and 20 depict that time at Christ's return, especially 19 of Revelation, as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So then we have a repeat of what we saw early on in verse 12, what we saw in verse 8. And notice, Adonai Tsevaot Imanu, Misgav Lanu Elohei Yaakov Selah. that is, the Lord of hosts, is with us. The God of Jacob is our high tower. What a beautiful summary of this great and wonderful psalm that has encouraged many people, and I believe can encourage us today. And as a Christian, I'm reminded of Martin Luther's great hymn in which he wrote, Ein Festberg, translated in English, a mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Our helper, he, amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe does seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate on earth is not his equal. Did we in our own strength confide, our striving would be losing, were not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing. Dost ask who that may be? Christ Jesus, it is he. Lord Sabaoth is his name, from age to age the same, and he must win the battle. And though this world with devils filled should threaten to undo us, we will not fear, for God hath willed his truth to triumph through us. The prince of darkness grim, we tremble not for him. His rage we can endure, for lo, his doom is sure. One little word shall fell him. And then the last verse, that word above all earthly powers, no thanks to them abideth. The Spirit and the gifts are ours through him who with us sideth. Let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also. The body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever.